The Survival Guide to the Exodus. The Water Crisis. The first rule of survival is the rule of three. You can only last 3 days without water. For the Israelites, the math was staggering. Estimates suggest 2 million people would need roughly 5 million liters of water every single day just to stay hydrated. Add in their livestock, sheep, goats, and cattle, and that number triples. In the Sinai, there are no permanent rivers. So how did they do it? Critics say it's impossible, but desert survivalists point to 3 things: wadis, wells, and Shur. The Bible mentions they traveled the way of Shur, a route known for its ancient limestone cisterns. We also see them stopping at Elim, an oasis with 12 springs. In the desert, survival isn't about finding a river, it's about knowing the hydro map of the underground water table. The real secret? They weren't just wandering, they were hopping from one strategic water source to the next. The Sanitation Miracle. In a camp of 2 million people, the biggest threat isn't a foreign army, it's cholera. If waste isn't managed, the entire nation dies in a month. This is where the Exodus Survival Guide gets surprisingly graphic. In Deuteronomy 23, God issues a military mandate. Every person must carry a peg or a small shovel with their equipment. When they need to go, they must leave the camp, dig a hole, and bury it. This seems like common sense today, but in 1400 BC, it was revolutionary germ theory before germs were even discovered. By keeping the camp holy, or in modern terms, sterile, they avoided the dysentery that wiped out almost every other ancient army in history. The logistics of the Tabernacle. Most people think of the tabernacle as a tent. In reality, it was a mobile fortress. It used over a ton of gold, 3.5 tons of silver, and massive planks of acacia wood. Acacia is the ironwood of the desert. It's dense, water-resistant, and incredibly heavy. How do you move a 20-ton building through shifting sand? The Bible reveals the logistics in Numbers 7. They didn't carry it on their backs. They used 6 specialized covered wagons pulled by 12 oxen. This was a modular design, essentially the world's first flat-pack architecture. The Levites were split into logistics units, one group for the heavy bars, one for the fabrics, and one for the furniture. It was a high-speed assembly line that could be packed and moved in hours. Desert economy. A common question is, what did they eat besides manna? And where did they get the materials for the tabernacle? The answer lies in the mixed multitude. The Bible says many non-Israelites left Egypt with them. These were likely merchants and craftsmen. The Sinai wasn't an empty void, it was a highway for Midianite and Amalekite traders. The Israelites left Egypt with plunder, gold, silver, and fine linens. In survival terms, they had a high-value barter economy. They likely traded Egyptian gold for local livestock, salt, and oil. The Exodus wasn't a group of beggars, it was a wealthy nation on the move, buying their way through the wilderness. The toughening. The most overlooked part of the survival guide is the transformation. The people who left Egypt were specialized in making bricks. They were slaves. The people who arrived at the Jordan 40 years later were specialized in desert warfare and logistics. The 40 years served as an elite training camp. Living in the elements, eating a high-protein diet, manna and quail, and moving constantly turned a disorganized mob into the most disciplined fighting force in the ancient Near East. They didn't just survive the desert, they were forged by it. The conclusion. When you look at the Exodus through the lens of logistics, the miracles don't disappear. They just get more interesting. Whether you see it as divine intervention or a masterpiece of ancient engineering, the fact remains. The Exodus changed the rules of human survival forever. Next time, we're going to look at the psychological warfare of the walls of Jericho. You won't believe the physics behind that story. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next investigation.